Alright, I have a confession to make. It's time people should know my deep, dark secret about me. I don't spend hours and hours and hours in the kitchen preparing food every day or every week. I don't eat the same food every day. I don't even train 7 days a week. I don't do hours of cardio. I don't do anything like that. There are a few things that I do though. I train really, really hard. I eat cake 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes more. I eat ice cream 5 or 6 times a week, sometimes twice a day. I eat out to lunch or dinner 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes more. Long weekend this weekend, so a little bit more. I drink wine every week as well, I even have some by my computer. Awkward. And now before I hear all these idiotic comments about how lucky I am to be able to eat all these foods and not get fat, no. Just no. I've worked my ass off reverse dieting out of my last bodybuilding competition to have the metabolism I have today. And that's just a relationship between how much food I consume and where my body fat is sitting. So it's not a genetic disposition, it's something I've trained my body to do. So it's something you can train your body to do as well. So my confession is, I'm a flexible dieter. I hit calorie, fiber, macro goals every day, and I have a great relationship with food. I used to be extremely obsessive about food while I was preparing for bodybuilding competitions, and most importantly, I've been sticking to my kind of eating that I do now, flexible dieting, for going up on 235 days now. So the most important thing with an eating plan is consistency, and this proves by being able to follow this for the last 235 days that it is able to be followed consistently. I don't eat the same foods every day. I make myself eat different foods, making sure my digestive system works efficiently. If I can eat the same foods all the time, then your body just gets used to that and doesn't break stuff down as efficiently as it should. So as like a fitness professional, it's hard to admit that I eat all these unhealthy foods regularly, and having to justify to close-minded people who live and die by the clean eating lifestyle. For those people, it's their choice, and they know about what happens when they binge after a competition or something, go out and have a binge and just eat whatever they want because they're stuck in the mindset of on a diet of clean eating and off. And if you have foods that you abstain from during that period of time, then you're going to start to crave those foods, and you start to have the starting of basically an eating disorder. So that's not optimal. So when people who are going clean eating have a cheat meal per se, they go off their food, they start to feel guilty about that. You don't have that with flexible dieting. If you're on a clean eating plan, and you go off it and you have that cheat, then you just start to feel guilty and you kind of want to out-exercise that. And that just creates, as I said, that starting point to being the start of an eating disorder, which is not what you're looking for. So if you have that bad relationship with food from doing the clean eating kind of diet, then it just really doesn't help because you've got that bad relationship with food. You just need to be able to have those things that you do enjoy having, as long as taken into account into whatever macronutrient and calorie goals you have, which is what flexible dieting is. So if you add like the poor relationship with food to like fat cell hyperplasia and body fat overshooting, so if you've dieted down for a comp, body fat overshooting means as you've dieted down, you've got to like your lowest body fat percentage or whatever. Just means that if you add in food too much afterwards, you can overshoot what your original body fat was. So you might diet down to a certain body weight. This is where you started, and then once you rebound after your diet, you end up having up here, so a higher body fat than when you started, and that's just not good for you because it resets that body fat set point, meaning that over time it's going to be harder and harder to get down lower and lower and lower as well. So fat cell hyperplasia just means that you can't actually remove fat cells, you can only shrink them. So if you've got, when you're adding fat, if you increase your food too quickly after you've dieted down, then what's going to happen is if you increase your food too much, you add too much fat too quickly, you're going to increase your number of fat cells and also the size of your fat cells. So once you can't actually decrease the number of your fat cells over a period of time. So you just need to make sure that you don't have that effect where you're adding extra fat cells, because if you add too many, then it becomes detrimental. The most famous of these kind of yo-yo dieting kind of things are Oprah. Obviously, you've seen her weight go up and down over a period of time because she resets her body fat set point each time because she goes to such extreme measures to drop the weight down. She's never actually got back down to her original weight. She's always dropped a bit of weight and then gone down, and then her new set point's a little bit higher, and then she drops back down, but her set point's still up here, so she drops back down, and then her new body fat set point, when she puts all the weight back on, becomes up here, so she gets higher and higher and higher, and it's the epitome of yo-yo dieting, and that's not what you want. You want something that's going to be able to maintain long term. And so the fact of the matter is, you're going to lose weight or fat on any diet for as long as you can, to start off with anyway, for as long as you can stick to it. So the main thing about a diet or eating plan is going to be consistency. If you can't maintain that eating plan, it's not going to be any beneficial to you at all. If you look at ketogenic diets, they get great results to start off with. However, as soon as you go off that, your body fat overshooting is massive, because as soon as you add in carbohydrates again, your body tends to store those a lot faster, and you've created that cycle where you diet down and then on, say, a ketogenic diet, cut out carbohydrates, so you drop all this body fat, and then as soon as your carbohydrates come back in, straight back up. So that's pretty common, and I see a lot of personal trainers giving ketogenic diets just because they don't understand nutrition. If you're just going to exclude one macronutrient, yeah, of course you're going to lose some weight, but you're not going to be able to maintain that long term. And it turns into that yo-yo dieting cycle, and it's actually detrimental to people's health because of that body fat overshooting. So if you have a trainer that always gives ketogenic diets, they obviously just don't know about nutrition. Yes, there is a certain place where you can use that beneficially. However, if that's the only dieting technique that they use, they obviously just don't know what they're talking about. You probably need to find yourself a new trainer. So what does all this have to do with flexible dieting? So I'm just going to explain what flexible dieting is and what it is not. So flexible dieting is not eating whatever you want, whenever you want, by any means. It's not eating Pop-Tarts every meal. Pop-Tarts is the official food of flexible dieters, apparently. It's not an excuse to eat unhealthy foods. So what flexible dieting is an approach to eating that means you can be flexible in your approach to the foods that you consume, on the condition that you hit certain goals such as calories, fiber, protein, carbohydrates, and fats. If you can fit ice cream into those goals that are set for you, then you can consume that, so long as you hit your goals. It's just a scientifically proven method of being able to consistently hit those numbers, which is what clean eating is anyway. So clean eating is normally just a set meal plan of healthy foods that people consume, and they're having a consistent intake. So we're just doing a consistent intake, but we're using different foods all the time, so it stimulates our digestive system to get the best results from that. So you're actually getting all the nutrients that you need from the foods. So flexible dieting removes all the guilt from eating. So if you do have a bit of a blowout or something, you feel like ice cream or something, you can actually consume that and not feel guilty, and then go into that poor relationship with food and borderlining on an eating disorder. So with the targets you should hit, you got to hit your calories, fiber, and then your macronutrients. So flexible dieting is just an extension on clean eating. Clean eating is just a consistent intake with the same foods all the time, of clean foods. Whereas flexible dieting means that you can be a lot more flexible, that's the name, and if it fits your macros is another way of saying it. So as long as it fits in with those guidelines, it means if you want to have steak instead of chicken, as long as it fits into the same goals, you can have that. And that's normally what's going to happen. When you're getting into being more flexible, then you can start having ice cream or something if you can fit it into your goals. But generally, that's not going to be the basis of your nutrition. Your nutrition is still going to be, number one, hitting your calories, and number two, hitting your fiber. So your fiber is going to have a direct correlation between the amount of nutrients and foods that you're going to have. So foods like fruits and vegetables and stuff like that are going to be very high in fiber. They're also going to be high in nutrients. So it just means that you're going to have that clean eating kind of base for your food to be able to get all the calories and fiber goals that you need and your macronutrients. Then after that, you can start adding in those extra foods to fill up your calories and so on. So it's not going to be like Pop-Tart, 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 Pop-Tart for all of your meals. It's going to be something like, here's the base of this meal, fiber, blah, 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 protein pancakes or something for breakfast with banana or something, berries, all these kind of healthy foods, and then you might have like a low-fat ice cream later in the day. But the percentage of calories that comes from the unhealthy sources is probably going to be a lot lower than it is going to be from those clean eating options per se. So this is pretty controversial for all the clean eating proponents out there. However, I'm going to take you on a journey over the next week of a flexible diet. So I'm going to show you all of the meals and all of the food that I eat for a week, the goals that I hit, and all the macronutrient breakdowns of all the meals that I have. So it's just going to show you how much is going to be based on, say, like clean eating kind of principles, which is still, if it fits your macros, it's just more detail on that. So I'm going to have that component, and then whatever the extras that I want to put in to fill up those macronutrients as well, just to making sure that I'm hitting those goals every single day, no matter what. So it's going to include wine, it's going to include ice cream, it's going to include cake. All of these things are still going to fit into those macronutrient goals, and I'm going to show you the proportion of those clean foods compared to those other ones of the dirty foods, if you want to categorize them. Another problem with clean eating versus like if it fits your macros is no one can really classify what is a clean food. So subjective that it just doesn't work out, and everyone has a different explanation of it, and it's just too confusing. So people who do clean eating, do macros, they just don't understand it because they're not counting macros. They're using a set eating plan to follow, which is a set number of calories, a set number of macronutrients, there's a set number of fiber there, and to change that, they just like drop foods out. We don't want to do that. We just want to change the macronutrient balance of it, just to when we need to make changes if someone's dieting down for competition or something like that. So I'm going to take on this journey through all the food that I'm consuming. It's just going to give you a bit better idea of all the foods that you need to consume. Now, I have rather high macronutrient goals because I've been working at increasing my metabolism over the last 3 months out from my last competition. So obviously I didn't start at this higher calories. It's taken me a long time to get to this point. But we're just going to go through the foods that I eat for my goals. Your goals are going to be completely different. If you try and eat the same foods as me, or someone like Mr. Olympia or whatever, you're just not going to get the results that you're looking for because it's not specific to your goals and your needs. If you are looking for someone to do up some goals for you, just send me a message and I'll be able to sort you out. So all these clean eaters are going to come up with a lot of problems with this kind of eating because it goes against everything that they've basically heard and thought of. But if you can find like any kind of study on that shows that clean eating is way better than flexible dieting, then send it through because I am yet to find one, and I know lots of people that have looked quite a bit, so have I, and we're yet to find one. Good news is there's actually a couple of studies starting up now that are going to compare it, not only during the amount of weight loss that you have during a clean eating versus if it fits your macros kind of diet, what's going to happen afterwards, because that's the key point. Because you can, like as I said, on any diet, you can drop fat easily, but the whole point is being able to maintain that long term. And if you look at my example, it's been 235 days and I'm going strong. Like I haven't hit my goals every single day, but I've been pretty consistent. I've recorded my food all of those days, taken accountability for what I've actually consumed. Yes, I didn't hit my goals perfectly. However, it was close enough, and it's got enough consistency that I can get those results over a long period of time, and that's the difference. It's just being able to get those long-term results. If you just if you just go on a calorie restrictive diet, excuse me, you're just going to lose a lot of weight to start off with. That's no problem. But the whole point is, do you want to get that off and keep it off? Anyone can just drop that weight easily, as long as you just like restrict calories enough, you're going to lose some weight. But you're just not going to be able to maintain that. If you can maintain it, then it's going to be a way better eating plan than like just going on your ketogenic thing. So that's it. That's my confession. I'm a flexible dieter. It's hard to admit in the fitness industry when you used to be a very strong advocate of clean eating. I've just found that this is completely different. It's a lot less taxing on your mind. It's a lot less taxing on your body. You can actually eat out and consume foods without feeling guilty. You don't have to go into the gym and perform hours and hours and hours of extra exercise because you went off your diet a little bit, and go with the what the hell kind of thing. So you're either on your eating plan or you're in the what the hell zone where you're like, what the hell, I may as well eat a whole pizza because I just went off my diet a little bit. Who cares? I'll start tomorrow, Monday, next week, whatever it is. You don't fall into those kind of things. You can still fit those unhealthy kind of foods in to keep you mentally sane into your macronutrients. It's not going to be, as I said, the basis of your macronutrients, but you can still fit those in to keep yourself mentally sane and get the results you're looking for. So it's going to be good. So I'm going to go through that week of eating, and I'm going to post up all the videos. I'm going to do a bit of a blog, video log each kind of day for the next couple of days, just to show you a week's worth of food and you can see what the difference is between those. Thanks for watching, guys.